And this is what they said happened. This is their recordings, and you can look it up. Okay? But both of them recorded to their governments that they brought in a Christian firing squad, 750 rifles strong, put them on tiers to fire at them all at one time. There was days when gunpowder was not smokeless. And when they fired, smoke filled the town square. It's a big square. It's like the one in Egypt. 10,000 people could fit in that square and watch. And they did. There was 10,000 people watching. When the smoke cleared, and they had hung him up, and next to him they had put another disciple that had begged to be killed with him. I can't see myself begging that necessarily, but that he did. When the smoke cleared, the one disciple was standing there unharmed, and the Bob was nowhere to be seen. Now, he could have at that point used that to his advantage if that had been his motive, and say, "Hey, see, miracle, kill these guys," you know. And believe me, you've seen how radical Islamic people can be right now. They might have, but he didn't. They found him back in his jail cell, finishing a letter to the prophet to come that they had interrupted him in writing. He then sealed the letter, gave it to a person to give to this individual, and said, "Okay, I'm done now." See, when you're messing with a prophet of God, you can't stop him until his mission is done. It wasn't complete yet. Now it is. They took him back out. The Christian firing squad refused to fire again. They wouldn't do it. They had to march him off, and in those days, and even today, the regiments are by religion. You have a Christian regiment, a Muslim regiment, Zoroastrian, whatever. So they brought in a Muslim regiment, and this time when they fired, they killed him. Okay? They had to convince the crowd first, though, to do it. They had to say, "Well, it's not a miracle. Look, it just cut the ropes." Well, that's a pretty sorry firing squad you got. They can hit ropes but can't quite hit a person, you know. That was the Bob. Within a very short time, we believe that the next prophet came, prophet for our age in which we live, the one who was to give us the things we need in order to save ourselves from extinction. And that prophet's name was Baha'u'llah. Now, it may sound very strange when you first hear that word, Baha'u'llah. And it's not hard to say. Try it. Say Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah. It's an interesting word because the Bab said that for you to even hear the word Baha'u'llah, okay, this is something he said, if you even have heard the word Baha'u'llah, it's because you did something in your life that pleased God. You may never know what it is, but you had to have done something in your life to even have heard the word in this age. That may change as we get further and further away, but right now that still holds true. Baha'u'llah was a follower of the Bab, just as Jesus originally followed John the Baptist and allowed those things to be. He was thrown into the black pit of Tehran. The Sea of Chal is called, Kipling called it the black pit of Tehran. It's a big hole in the ground. It's a dungeon with a big hole in the ground, only way down, ladder or a rope. No exit, no toilets, nothing. Chained, huge chains on the necks, the legs, and the arms. You ain't going nowhere with these. These are huge, massive. Each link is as massive as my arm. And that is where he received his revelation from God, in that dungeon. And when he came out, he was a changed man. Now, the chains had weighed him down so much that for the rest of his life his back was bent, and the scars remained on his legs and arms. He was banished from one city to another, all the way out of Iran into Iraq, to Baghdad, to Constantinople, Adrianople, and finally to Israel. And in Israel, he pitched, as a prisoner, pitched his tent on Mount Carmel. And that's where much of the Baha'i holy places are that are to ultimately in the future be places of pilgrimage. He taught one God, one religion for all mankind, that every religion was part of that, and that there was only one race, the human race, and that we had to start learning to live with each other as one people worldwide. That if we didn't, there would be a payment required, not from God, but from our own ignorance, that it would cost us dearly. So Baha'is quietly in homes tell people about Baha'u'llah, about the Bab, about these principles, and that basically was all I'm going to say about the Baha'i faith tonight, because it's just too much to say at one time. I will answer questions after a small break, but I think it's time to take that break.
Yeah.
And Vonda's going to sing a song when we come back from break.